Welcome to some more graphing of linear equations. We're going to do graphing with just regular graphing like we've been doing, and then we're going to look at the intercepts. And the intercepts is where it's going to cross the y-axis and the x-axis. We're going to talk about both of those. So the y-intercept is 0b. That's where x is 0 and b is actually on the axis is where it crosses the y-axis. And then the x-intercept is we're going to let y equal 0, and it's where it's going to cross the x-axis. So it would have a value in there. So it says, consider 5x plus 2y equals 10. Find the x-intercepts. Now when you see this, this is going to be a fast way of graphing. So it's probably going to make things a little bit interesting. So you can do a couple of different things. The first thing is you want to solve for y and you want to solve for x. So that tells you where it's going to cross some points. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let x equal 0. So 5 times 0 plus 2y equals 10. So now I get 5 times 0 is 0 plus 2y equals 10. Divide by 2. So y equals 5. So our first axis, or where it is our y-intercept, is at 0, 5. Now we need to see where our x-intercept is. So now we're going to let y equal 0. So now I have 5x plus 2 times 0 equals 10. So now I have 5x equals 10. Divide both sides by 5, x equals 2. So now we have 2, 0, and this is the x-intercept. Now directions said to find the intercepts, then graph the equation. And you can do it a couple of different ways. I'm going to move this up. And again, I don't have a graph on here, so we're going to pretend this is x, this is y. Let's get in some lines here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know this isn't pretty. Or evenly spaced, is it? Now the first thing it said was that our y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis, is at 0, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to cross here. And then it says that it was at 2. So it's going to cross there. Now we said that you needed to have 3 dots to graph a line to make sure. This looks pretty good. But if we needed to make sure that we had everything we needed, what we would do is we could just choose any value for x and plug it in and see if we can get one more point for y. So you can choose anything that you would like. Since we had 0, that was our original one, we wound up with a 2. So it counted by 2. So let's try 4 and see what happens. So if I take 5 times 4 plus 2y equals 10, I get 20 plus 2y equals 10. I subtract 20 from both sides. So now I get 2y equals negative 10. Move over here so we get some more room. Divide both sides by 2, so y equals negative 5. So this ordered pair is positive 4, negative 5. So I'm going to go over to positive 4, and I'm going to go down to negative 5, which would be right in here. and that would continue to graph in there. So that would give us our 3 points. So for this example, we're going to just see what we can do. I have it graphed for you, but let's work it. If we let x be 0, so 4 times 0, y is going to equal 0. So our y-intercept is going to be 0, 0. Then if we let y equal 0 and we go by x, or 4x, so we divide both sides by 4 and we got x equals 0. So our x-intercept is also 0, 0. So it crosses both. So now we need a couple of more points to plug in. So I would just pick something simple on either side of 0. So how about -1 and +1? So if I let -1, let's see, y equals 4 times -1, so y equals -4. So now I have a point, -1, +4, -1, -4. And then if I let y equals 4 times +1, I get 4. So y equals 4. So now my other point would be +1, 4, and we have that grafted here for us. Again, see where it crosses the origin? This time it just happened to be both because it crossed at the origin. Now we're going to try to graph y equals 2. Now in this one, to graph y equals 2, there's really not an x to plug in. No matter what we choose for x, we're going to find that y must equal 2, and it always will. So that part's not going to change. So the way I would graph this one, instead of graphing an ordered pair, see how it says that y, sorry about that, see how that it says that y equals 2? If you have your x and y axis drawn out like this, and it says y equals +2, in this case it would be right here, that means that the line has to go through the y-axis at 2, and it creates a horizontal line. It doesn't matter what points we put in. So if you ever see y equals 2, you can just graph it like I did. It just goes right through the axis, the y-axis. Okay, same idea with the x equals -2. If you have your x and y axis, this time I did them in blue. This is x, this is y. And if we have -2, which is right here, that's on the y-axis. But if we go over here and we have -1, -2, that's on the x-axis. So when you create your line, it goes through the x-axis because it said x equals -2. That means it is a vertical line. So that's what you're going to graph there. It is a vertical line. So it does not ever cross the y-axis, it only crosses the x-axis. Alright, horizontal and vertical lines. That goes back to what we were doing. If y equals b, that means it only crosses the y-axis. Then it's a horizontal line. And if x equals a, x crosses the x-axis. It is a vertical line. That's the end of this section.